Hi everyone and welcome to today's morning report on Wednesday the 22nd of April with me, Rich Perry, market analyst at Handtech Markets. European trading session has just been a bit fluctuating really early on. There was slight early gains and then that's just reverted to losses. FTSE is now down about 0.5%, DAX is off about 0.1%. And that's sort of come on the back of a fairly mixed session in Wall Street actually. The S&P closed slightly off at 0.1% down, and that came after pretty lackluster earnings from Yahoo. And the earnings season in the States just is, I mean, they're sort of quite often beating on the earnings line, but then in terms of the revenues tend to be missing. So a fairly mixed and arguably disappointing earnings season developing there, and certainly you'd need to see revenue growth if earnings are deemed to be long-term sustainable. And we're not seeing that at the moment. So the S&P is just struggling at the moment. And we have had, though, overnight, Asian markets pushing higher. Again, the Nikkei was closing nicely in positive territory, up just over 1%. And that's come on the back of as the yen continues to weaken. Or has been weaker in the last few days anyway. And also on the back of reports that the trade balance for Japan came in positively actually gaining a surplus for the year, certainly on the back of the weaker yen. That's benefited that. But in terms of what we're looking out for today, we've got moving forward the Bank of England meeting minutes, but just before I talk about that, let's just have a look at how Forex markets are looking. Fairly choppy actually. In terms of the dollar, fairly choppy in the last couple of days, and that's sort of been driven around by news on Greece, potential for slight movement towards some sort of agreement in the negotiations between Greece and its Eurozone creditors with regard to its economic reform proposals. It doesn't appear likely, apparently, that they're going to come to an agreement this week, but an agreement could be possible nonetheless, which is certainly supported the euro in the last few hours. And that's sort of created this slight fluctuation in the euro, in the dollar index in the last few hours. But this is the interesting chart. This is the hourly on the dollar index. This is showing, look at this 21, that's meant to be hour moving average. Wow, sorry, I can only apologise for that. 21-hour moving average there on this chart, and it has consistently been a very good gauge actually through this dollar index in the last sort of couple of weeks, and it's just turned lower again, and once more it's becoming the basis of resistance. So that could be quite telling in the coming day, and certainly look at that. I've just noticed that as well. If you put your crosshair there, you're actually almost building a head and shoulders top pattern in the dollar index, so that is certainly one to watch out for, I think, today. We've got in the next few minutes, actually, as I'm speaking, we've got the next the Bank of England meeting minutes, and they will likely show a unanimous vote to hold rates steady for the Bank of England. But I think the interest will more be coming in any hawkish hints from the members as to how they see the economy moving, and also the potential for inflation picking up, and just the moves generally towards potential tightening. So that will be interesting in the minutes there. You've also got the existing home sales, which hopefully will come up. No, that's not that. That's the existing home sales there. Existing home sales due to come out at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and the expectation is for 5.03 million houses. So that's again a slight improvement on last month. And what you'd be looking out for is certainly an improvement, because last week's building permits and housing starts were pretty disappointing, and housing data has been actually fairly supportive of the dollar recently. So that would be a disappointment if that didn't come in sort of around that 5 million mark this week, I think. And then after that, you've also got the oil stocks, the weekly oil stocks, and they are forecast to come in around about 2.5 million, so just slightly up from last week's. Quite dramatic decline actually, but that would still be, I think, fairly supportive of the oil price, because that is just suggesting that the oil stocks are beginning to drop off, and the oil inventories, oil inventory build in the States is beginning to take account of the decline in the rig count and things like that. So that could well be supportive of the oil price this afternoon. That's at 3:30 now. So that takes me on to my chart of the day, which is Euro Yen actually. And this is the longer term Euro Yen chart over the course of almost a year here. And you can see here that it consistently is falling away, lower highs, lower lows. And I've got these lines in here because you can see how you get the breakdown, you get a consolidation, and then the rally sort of starts to find resistance around the sort of consolidation resistance levels, which is interesting. So that's what happened in March, and I think that's what we could be now seeing in April as well, with this rally back towards these key lows from late March around 128.40. And I think that is interesting that we're trading around there now, and it's not really been able to move above that. Sort of several closes around that sort of 128.40 level that we've seen in the last few days, and failing to really be able to get traction on the upside. This is the hourly chart, and what I've done here is I've zoomed out a fair way, because I've actually got a couple of pivot levels in here at 128.40, which is those old supports from late March, early April. But also the 129 level, which I see as a key sort of pivot level, was resistance in mid-March, became supportive, became a bit of resistance here, and now I see that as potentially resistance as well. So I'm seeing that is sort of 60 pips worth of resistance band there on this Euro Yen. So I'd say that the fact that we've started to form resistance around these levels, and sort of failing to really break through that sort of, well, certainly break above 129, but also sort of tending to fail around that 128.40 level. Although yes, we're above that at the moment, I'm still just fairly much concerned that that 129 level is yet to be breached. And I think unless you see a move above that 129, I'm not all that confident in this rally. Yes, we've had this rebound, but it could well be just another rebound into this into the key lows of this resistance. Very similar sort of situation that we saw back from the March rally that fell over around the resistance of the sort of February lows. So we could be seeing that sort of situation again. Not only that, you've got the 21-day moving average, which, if I zoom out, has been a pretty decent basis of resistance through 2014. 2015. Slight few moves above it, but certainly it is still a pretty decent gauge, and that is currently around the 128.50 level as well. So that sort of adds to that resistance. It's not a massively it's not a brilliant resistance, but it's still a gauge I think that the Euro Yen is potentially moving around on. So what I would be looking at is if you start to see sell signals in this 128.40 to 129 area, again, I would be looking at that as a possibility to go short. You're sort of again failing around. I mean, on this hourly chart, you're failing around the 128.80 level in the last 3 or 4 days. 17th on the 20th yesterday, and potentially even today. So I'd be looking at that 129 level as your breakout level. If you start breaking above that, that's positive, and then you probably would be starting to see the RSI move above 70. In this rally, you've not seen that yet, and that is another concern of mine, because you'd be wanting to see the RSI on the hourly chart above 70, and you're not quite seeing that. So you're not really seeing the bulls sort of break out and really show positive momentum. It's still fairly sort of constricted, and that is the concern that I've got with this rally. So I wish you good luck in your trading on Euro Yen today, and I will speak to you later, I think.